happy to propose 1 to 22 on block. If I could have a seconder for that, and then we'll open up for discussion. Thank you, Councillor Peacock. Is there anybody, any ward member who would like to speak on any of the items 1 to 22, please? Thank you, Councillor Duff.
Yes, really on the, we've heard on the community centre, and that's fine, but it's the rugby club. I gave qualified approval of this when I was asked to do so in September, and I have now got an up-to-date set of figures, absolutely got them today, which shows that they have got the total financing required. In fact, it's very important we support it, because the we give them 20,000. Sport England will then come in with 75,000, and that will totally fill the gap. And they have done a fantastic job. I couldn't believe it when I saw the comment that there was 83,000 of fundraising by the club themselves. I'm wrong, it's actually 85,000. And so I very strongly support this grant.
Thank you for that, Councillor Duff. I've got Councillor Rocky next.
Good evening, Chair. Delighted to see Ken Readshaw here putting forward a support for the horse house coming in on sparsely populated places, and horse house came there actually, Ken. So total support for that. And the Tosh, the old schoolhouse, this has been a project that we supported in the previous administration. In fact, we gave them £37,000. You wouldn't get that now. We did then because it was so important to Labour. It's been a brilliant project, and all credit to those volunteers and other people involved who've taken it forward. And I totally support Samantha's recommendation we should grant it. But I would like to express disappointment that a council that has £58,000 in reserves, such as Labour and Town Council, I believe has an annual income of around £60,000 or £80,000 from the market, can't even put their hand in their pocket to the tune of 1 pence to support a brilliant arts project within the very community itself. And I'm disappointed, because I would suggest that in most of the other communities, the parish council or town council, if they were that resource rich, would be prepared to chip in something on their own account. Instead of which, they're expecting us here at the district council to fund this project ourselves. Total support for doing so. I said the same when the original project came forward. I think they stumped up 500 quid, and only that was after a deal of community blackmail. So I just need to make that point. I also would like to make a point as well. Under the previous administration, we started off the defibrillator project, which has caught fire, frankly. Certainly up in the Dells it had. One of the reasons why is that we're so far from an ambulance, of course. In fact, actually, I believe we now have an attraction to attract tourists who have dicky hearts. There's more defibrillators per square mile driving up Swelldale than any other place in England. Every single village and community has a defibrillator, even the very small ones. I'm delighted about that, because I've had heart bypass. You never know when you might need a defib. What I would say, though, is that those communities up in the Dales, not only did they get 10% support from their parish councils, but most of them actually also put in some community fundraising on their own account. You only need to look back. Horsham Hyamside did, Hardford did. But then you get to some of them, like Washington, I notice, wants to defib, just a straight 10% from the parish council and no community fundraising. And there's one here from Richmond Town Council, which has reserves of £254,000. can't manage a single penny beyond a 10% for their DFIB. Now, I would have hoped that Richmond, and it's a lovely town of course, would have been able to find somebody prepared to do a fundraiser so that they're kept in the spirit that something as vital as a defibrillator that might be needed just once in an emergency. Not only does the parish council put something in, but actually the local community does as well. And I just need to point that out, I think.
Thank you, Councillor Blackie. Councillor Peacock?
It was just to say, following on from what Councillor Duff said regarding the rugby club. I mean, this has been on the cards a long, long time, and I'm so pleased now that they've actually got their funding together and that we can help them, because it's been years upon years trying to get forward with that through a lot of hard work. So I'm delighted to see that we're proposing here tonight to agree to their bid.
Thank you, Chairman. Could I come back on
Very, very quickly.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
On the question of Labour and Town Council have a vast number of expenses, and I would point out that one of their greatest expenses is at least £10,000 a year, if not more, for the maintenance of the Kelvedale Loos, which was put onto them by the previous administration.
Councillor Duff, I'm sorry, we are discussing these particular applications, and I think that's where we should stand.
For a point of order, they were actually left with one public toilet.
I'm sorry, Councillor Blackie, I'm not getting into a debate on public toilets around this table tonight. I have an indication from a councillor, ward member, and sitting in the public gallery, and welcome to everybody in the public gallery.
Would you like to stand?
Entirely up to you. You sit there, that's fine. I'll come forward.
Across to the microphone.
Yes, thank you.
Can I just explain? I'm no longer a Richmond Town Councillor, but prior to the last election, I was working very hard to get defibrillators in Richmond, and I worked with the British Heart Foundation. And we went a long way along the road towards getting them from British Heart Foundation. Then we discovered, on the advice of the ambulance service, that the best type was the locked cabinet that was connected to the 999 call. That meant that Richmond Town Council were not able to put anything in their precept, because by the time we discovered this, it was too late. So I fundraised, not Richmond Town Council, I fundraised to provide the match funding, because I was committed to the whole thing. And Richmond Town Council followed the COF rules of the 10%, which I have put off. So they didn't have it in their precept, and they followed the rules, and I don't think that they should be criticised for following the rules.
Right, thank you for that, Councillor Curran. Right, as I said, we have a proposer and a seconder to take 1 to 22 on block to accept the officer's recommendations. Could I have a clear show of hands, please? It wasn't. Right, in that case, ladies and gentlemen, moving on, can I say that if there are any members of the public who now can go home rubbing their hands because they can get on with their project and would like to leave now, please